Alright, the next movie I want to talk about on this series that may go on for very long or I might stop is Goodachari. It might translate to something Wikipedia doesn't say what it translates to. But anyway, Goodachari is a 2018 Indian blockbuster movie, or at least its box office earnings would say it's a blockbuster movie. It's in the Telugu language, so I watched the whole thing reading subtitles, except for the few lines that were in English. So let me just say that I am not an expert on Indian films. This movie does not have the characters stopping everything and breaking into dance in the middle of a fight scene or something really stupid like that. In fact, this is a very down-to-earth movie in that it's way more realistic than some of the Bollywood realism that you might see in other movies. In fact, I'd compare this to like the Jason Bourne movies. It's a spy thriller. There's a guy in a secret organization, but someone in the organization betrays the organization, but then they frame him, and he has to find out who betrayed the organization and track him down while the mole in the organization keeps helping expose him, and they keep trying to find him, and it turns out it wasn't this person, it was a double cross, and it was, that kind of confusing sort of thriller. And that's the exact impression I get of the Jason Bourne movies as well. I have not seen every Jason Bourne movie, but I get the impression that happens a lot in a lot of them. Going to see this movie was for me a different experience. I mean, I'll see, American Hollywood movies in theaters. I'll see other stuff in theaters, particularly like anime movies. But also I just see what interests me because I make a point in seeing things that might be interesting to me. This is the first Indian movie I've seen since Slumdog Millionaire, and that's not actually an Indian movie. In fact, I've heard some Indian people really don't like that film because it's not a particularly accurate picture of them, or at least they don't feel it is, but I can't speak to that at all. Anyway, I was definitely the only white person in the theater seeing this, because the local theater that actually shows Indian new releases definitely gets the Indian people in the area to actually come out and see them, But anyway, I thought the movie was pretty good. It is not my favorite movie ever. However, I don't think really any action movie of its type would ever end up as my favorite movie ever. I mean, for instance, take Mad Max Fury Road, which is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen, but it's certainly not my favorite. It's just not really what I go for. The central theme of the movie is what's more important, your family or your country. And Goodachari's answer to this is definitely your country. Characters who are serving their own personal interests, be it family or just for their own gain, generally are not successful. I don't really feel like it's a spoiler, and also I don't really feel like anyone listening to this is actually going to see this movie. But that's Goodachari's answer to the question. However, it's not just like a straight propaganda answer, because there's a lot of good reasons for most of the characters to do the things they do. Especially the main character. He has a good reason to love his country and want to serve his country. And most of his characterization comes from his father, who died in service to his country and has been a sort of unattainable role model to him as he grew up without him. And I think that connection of does he love his country or does he just love what his father was and want to be like his father is a very interesting character arc. There's some characters that don't have as good, development in the movie, but overall, the characters are fairly good, and it's an action movie. The characters are good for what they are. The action was, not my preferred style of action, but my preferred style of action is a bunch of really long shots to very clearly see action and see an entire fight choreography from one angle to appreciate the fight better. Goodachari has a bunch of gunfights that are particularly loud and staccato. The sound effects in this film are particularly loud and staccato and just piercing. None of these dull gunshots. Every gunshot is, well, it sounds like a gunshot. Not much to say about that. But lots of shooting, and all the close-up fights are like a bunch of close-up camera angles cutting between each punch and blow. And it is effectively hectic and drives home the violence of it, but it's not a particularly interesting fight choreography because you can't actually see the fight choreography. But as a whole, the movie was pretty good. Might be the best action movie I've seen this year that actually came out this year. Of course, I haven't seen many action movies that came out this year because they're not my genre that I'm super into. So that's all I have to say about that, I guess.